What is going on, you guys? This is Eric Cuts for the Win, and welcome to my review for Grime. Grime is a Metroidvania, but it's often referred to as a Souls-like game as well, because of its punishing gameplay and the gameplay elements that are like that of a Souls game. Overall, I feel like Grime is a true Metroidvania, and a great one at that, but it does also have its Souls-like elements. I will discuss why, but first, let's take a look at the graphics and the art direction. It's easy to see that Grime is a beautiful game. I especially love the art direction with the ongoing theme of the human body. This is what made Grime so unique and interesting to look at. From the eyes, to the hands, to the heads, and the sculpture-like bodies, and enemies that look like this or have some kind of element from the human body. I thought that was just very unique, and I especially liked how the environments complemented this as well. For example, there's an area called Nerve Root, which is basically the human nerves that make up the platforms and the surrounding aesthetics and even the threat to your character. The enemy and boss designs are awesome as well, complementing to the world that they are found in. And how you go about taking down these enemies and bosses are very unique as well, with combat that is centered around one very important function, the absorb. In Grime, your character is able to perform an absorb ability, which is essentially a parry. When you absorb an enemy, you take their breath, which accumulates and can be used to heal yourself on the fly. Absorbing is also implemented in every boss fight, with an opportunity to put heavy damage onto a boss by absorbing them in the right fashion. The trick to each boss is figuring out how and when to use it. And when you do, it makes the boss fights much more easier and manageable. You can also use Absorb to reflect back projectiles from enemies, including bosses, which comes in very handy. And there are a lot of opportunities to kill enemies with their own projectiles in this game, so this is all very good incentive to use the Absorb. And to make it even more worth it, when you do absorb a certain amount of most enemies, you unlock a new perk or trait, as it's called, for your character, such as more health or having your Absorb do more damage. Things like that can make your character even more powerful. And your character throughout this game is seen as such. The NPCs will often refer to you as beautiful or perfection, even the chiseled one. And you get this sense that, they respect you and they admire you, but at the same time, you're kind of treated as a threat. And they even go as far to, put down everyone else around them. Even if they look like them, they will call them ugly in your presence just to kind of get on your side. So it's very interesting the way the NPCs treat you, because it made me feel like they like me, but at the same time don't, in a weird way. So it was kind of an interesting dynamic there between me and the NPCs. But as far as more of this gameplay, these traits that you do get from absorbing, they can be leveled up with hunt points, and hunt points are found by killing the mini bosses. So not the actual mini bosses, we'll talk about those in a sec, but the mini bosses. So they're a little bit smaller, but they can be just as challenging. They're kind of rough at times to take down, but once you do get your hunt point, and then they're gone for good. So it makes them harder to come by and even more important to find. As for the actual mini bosses, you can find a few of these in the world and take them down in order to increase your breath meter. Remember, we talked about breath and how it can increase your health on the fly. The more mini bosses that you kill, the more breath you will be able to store. And this gets especially important by the late game because platforming and boss fights can be very challenging, and the ability to heal yourself like that with even more breath is so necessary to survive. As you can see from watching, you have your light attack and you have your heavy attack. You also have your dodge, which gives it that Souls-like feel. The absorb is your parry function, of course, and then you have your leveling up, which can feel Souls-like as well. You have your health, strength, force or stamina as we know it, dexterity, and Resonance, which is your absorbed power. You can level these up with Mass, which is the form of currency in Grime. Think of it as souls, but you don't actually lose them upon death, so it makes dying a bit less stressful. You can also pop items to get more Mass as well, much like a Souls game, and you can also use Mass to upgrade your weapons. Something that you cannot upgrade though is your armor. There's no stats on the armor, and it's mostly just for looks and fashion souls. And you can find the armor in sets of 3 pieces, so you have the legs, the arms, and the chest piece. And these are fun to find in the world, especially when backtracking, which I found was done very well in this game. When it comes to Metroidvanias in general, if a game gives me great backtracking and it feels rewarding to revisit old areas with new abilities, that's a huge plus. After beating a boss, you will get a new ability, which gives you that aha moment of, yes, now I can go back, I can go get those secrets, I can activate or get to that area that I couldn't before. And because of that, it makes for great backtracking moments. I was able to find some really great stuff when doing so. And just looking around, I was able to find hidden doors, I found hard to reach areas that I couldn't get to before. I really had a great time getting my Metroidvania on in this game. When it comes to the music in the game, I thought it was really good and really well done. Unique tracks here in the game, very eerie at times. It's got it's sci-fi, alien-ish kind of vibe, but then it also has catchy stuff. There was a boss fight music that just got in my head and would not leave. And anytime that happens, that's always a good sign that the music really hit and it stayed with me. Grime is definitely a one-of-a-kind Metroidvania that I really enjoyed. It's unforgiving, but it's fair. Let's talk about this challenge before we get out of here. Listen, I tried to take my Souls-like experience and history and all of that, and I tried to bend the rules a little bit in this game. I tried to cheese enemies more than a few times. I even tried to jump down in order to try and skip platforming sections, and I just thought, well, maybe I'll just take some fall damage and I'll make it out, you know, I'll sneak through. Grime came up and said, nope, on a bunch of this stuff. When it came to hitboxes, when it came to cheesing and trying to bend the rules, Grime was not having it. And as frustrating as it got at times from falling and not being able to survive fall damage and things like that, I couldn't help but respect it. It really showed me that the developers at Clover really took the time to polish and thought about these things when it came to hitboxes and making sure we can't cheese. They really went in there and got detailed with it. So that to me was impressive. Even though I was really trying to cheese some moments and get through, it showed me like, hey, there's some rules here and I gotta obey them. And if I want to get by, I gotta learn this game. and that to me was awesome to see. The platforming as well was pretty challenging, especially in the later game. When I was using the pull ability, that will always stay with me in my experience. That pull ability that you get in the game, sometimes you have to use it to pull platforms to you or away from you. There's times where there's like electricity going on or some kind of hazard and you have to make the platform skip it so it doesn't disappear. And man, sometimes those got really challenging. But when you get through it, and this goes with really good Metroidvanias and even good Souls-like, it's that overcoming and figuring it out, right? It's that reward by progressing. And Grime is no slouch. Grime has plenty of that. I always felt like I was overcoming something and getting that reward feeling in my brain. All in all, it was very satisfying to figure out and progress in this game. And I just feel like that's what makes a Metroidvania good. And even with the Souls-like game, if you want to look at this game as a Souls-like, that's what makes those games good as well. Grime just has it, man. Grime is a great game. It gets my approval, the Eracuts stamp of approval. I hope you guys check it out and give it a chance. If you're into Metroidvanias even in the slightest, this is a great game to get that fix. So that's pretty much my review, you guys. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think about Grime, if you've played it or if you're planning on playing it. Did this review help you in making that decision? Let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you in my next video. Peace.